Moving on to seriously salty Ceres.
Seriously salty Ceres. This is a image of the, well, I think of it as an asteroid, but it's really a dwarf planet. It's in the same category as Pluto, except this object resides in the asteroid belt. So it's between Mars and Jupiter. It's the largest object in the asteroid belt, actually. We had some pictures of it before that were kind of not so great that showed this white spot on it. And as we got closer and closer to Ceres, the white spot came into focus and everybody wondered, what was it? Is it frozen water? Is it maybe some salts? Is it salty frozen water? What could it be? There were 3 locations. We saw these bright, sort of salty somethings. And upon further analysis, they realized it's way too bright to be plain old just water ice. There has to be some sort of salt involved. And the salt that best matches the color and with the light as it reflects back off takes on certain signatures depending on it is magnesium sulfate. So it's a magnesium salt. There could be some other things in there. When they analyzed it, the color of the whiteness of it changes as you go further from the center of these locations. So they think there's some slightly different materials. The heavier stuff falls soonest, and the lighter stuff can travel further in these plumes, is kind of a way to think of it. So there's some differentiation, but they believe it's magnesium sulfate.
How do they get deposited there? How do
That's a great question. A crater, they think, is less than 100 million years old, so it's a fairly young crater. It's big, and it punched far enough down in that it revealed some sort of water reservoir, and a little bit of water could seep up to the surface and be given off. And in fact, in 2014, there was an analysis that found water vapor around Ceres. So this ties together. There could still be some water vapor escaping, lifting these salts up to the surface where they're left behind as the water vapor continues to escape. So interesting story on Ceres that these spots are actually salts. It's really neat.
This is the largest object in the asteroid belt.
Yeah,
So it's practically a planet. So there's a nice shot.
Nice shot of it, and you can see it there. So this crater, young crater, punched a hole, stuff could seep to the surface, so maybe underneath there somewhere is a salty ocean, perhaps.
Ooh.
This was a neat result they didn't quite expect. This is a crater viewed at an angle about midday, probably around noon. That white stuff you see, that's not the salts. That's a haze inside the crater, almost like a fog that's been lifted up. So something is still escaping and lifting very, very fine particles into the air or into the atmosphere, quote unquote. It's more of an exosphere because it doesn't last very long. It's mostly just space. But this stuff is lifted into these craters, and then as it cools down and the sun goes down, it falls back to the surface. So you see it during noontime. In the morning, it's not there. So the sunlight is causing something to happen to lift this stuff up. So they don't fully understand that yet, but Ceres is an active dwarf planet. There's active stuff happening on it.
And finally, the Dawn spacecraft has been moving closer and closer to Ceres. It's been kind of in steps, but now it's only 214 miles from the surface of Ceres, and that's its orbit that it will remain in for foreseeable time through the end of its mission and beyond.
So yeah, so these are the closest pictures, and there will be many more, which we will surely show you next month. I suspect we'll see many more in the coming weeks.
That's right.